Hi, Thumos gentlemen. Welcome back. I have just now came back from a 5 mile walk, so I'm not going to bother to change my sweaty clothing because I have a moment of clarity, which I believe can be achieved one way by walking long distances. And I recommend you do that in the morning and you get some sun. I got some major sun the other day. I got the lines to prove it when we had our meetup. So in this series that we're about to start, you can think of these challenges and these rituals as portals of transformation for your life, okay? It's easy to watch a YouTube video and not really do anything. So the whole goal that I'm trying to get with this series is to actually help us take action to make changes in our life, all right? Instead of just learning more theory and knowledge and all that stuff. So let's actually take the first step, all right? This is the initiation phase, guys. And what we have here is something that I believe is lacking in modern males, okay? If you look at cultures, civilizations of the past, maybe tribes, what you're going to often see is a initiation phase where a young boy is now becoming a man. There's usually a trial that accompanies this, okay? There's a symbolic ritual. You see this often in religions. If you're a Christian, what usually happens is you're baptized to show that you've been born again. So what happens is you say, all right, I accept Jesus Christ into my life. And what they do is they take you and they dunk you underwater and then they pull you back up. And it's symbolic of the old you dying and you being reborn into something new. So the idea with the initiation phase is to find something that's holding you back and being willing to give that up, being willing to shed that skin and die to it to be reborn again. Just like the snake, Nietzsche said that the snake that doesn't shed its skin perishes. The snake that cannot shed its skin perishes. And so many of us are living our lives in this is the day. Right? This is just our average day. These are our habits, our opinions, our identities. And that's scary. Having an identity to because once you change something in this loop, and it's like a snake eating its tail, here's the morning, we're kind of the same every single day. Nothing really changes. So we make up our identity right here. And when you begin to change something, well, the fear of loss, like you're losing a part of yourself, can happen. But what I want you to understand is that that's necessary. Okay, after death, there is rebirth. When you shed your skin, you get new skin. The sun goes down, the moon comes up, and vice versa. There's always a death and a rebirth. There's a losing of a limb to evolve. You must lose something. A tadpole loses its tail to become a frog. Okay, what else in nature? When we see the leaves change in the fall, the tree sheds its leaves, and then in the spring, it begins to bloom again. There's a death, there's a rebirth. Whenever there is creation, there's destruction. There's destruction, there's creation. Energy is not created or destroyed. So you're not losing yourself. You're simply changing this and entering into a new mode. This is sort of like a sacrificial upgrade. You have to lose a part of yourself to become something greater. And the thing that I recommend you do for this initiation phase is that you ask yourself a very powerful question. What do you want to be or to achieve? What's something that you want? And you really need to be clear about it. What do you want? Okay, if you're young, you're old, you can ask yourself this. What do you want? Okay, once you come up with that very strong reason, that why, then what you have to ask yourself is, what are you willing to exchange? What are you willing to give up in this identity to now enter into this new mode of living, this updated model? Because that's exactly what it is. A lot of us are living in these old models that don't serve us any longer. So for me, this was simply saying to myself, okay, I know that if I want to reach my potential, then I really need to stop seeking the approval of other people. And that's something that maybe I have thought I've done already, something that I've already been through. But the deeper I have dug into the mind, my own mind, I realize, I seek approval a lot. I seek approval a lot. And I think it's holding me back. And I think that if I can give up seeking approval, then what happens is now I'll be living in freedom. And if I can give up trying to get the approval of man, then I can begin to just seek the approval of God and doing God's will. And sort of living with the fear of God instead of the fear of man. And so that was really crucial to me. And so what I actually did, I realized that's something that's holding me back. That's the outdated model of being for me. And so to become something greater, I have to give that up. And so this is now what I'm stepping into. But in order for me to step into this, I also wanted to do this with a ritual. Okay, and rituals aren't really talked about these days amongst men. Most of our rituals are part of our habits, is, sitting on the couch, watching TV and stuff. But you see, when we watch TV, we tell our vision these lies, we tune into a channel that programs us. It actually is a ritual that programs you. Okay, with a ritual of your own, something really cool happens. You're speaking directly to your subconscious through rituals. Okay, so when you partake in a ritual, you're speaking to your subconscious and something happens. You're almost like flicking a hidden switch and you're turning it on. And you might not get these dramatic results immediately, but what you'll notice is this ripple effect. Something changes inside you. It's the seed of something happening. So it's a shedding of the old way, the old skin. Okay, and that's what we have to do to evolve. So here's what I recommend you do. I recommend that you think about what you want. Write this down. What is it that you want? Okay, what is holding you back? Maybe it's thinking about your ex. Maybe it's seeking approval from others. Maybe it's participating in habits that are destructive and destroying your life. Maybe it's frittering away your time. Okay, maybe it's living a very unhealthy lifestyle. You got to get real serious, try to break it down, and be very dead honest with yourself. That's the best way to do it. A good way to get to the answer is to look at the loop that you have on a daily basis, the feedback loop, the negative thoughts or the same thoughts that you have every day. And maybe it's a depression that you have. So look at the depression and dive into it. What is it in that depression that keeps showing its ugly head? Okay, and then what we have to do is take it and we cut it. We discard. We have to step through the gate, okay, to become new. So what we're going to do, get the answer. What are you willing to exchange to move into something greater? You got to ask yourself this. This is the first phase. I wouldn't go anywhere else until you do this. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to take 2 candles, just like this. You're going to take 2 candles, all right? And the beauty of this is that when you partake in the ritual, what happens is you remember. This is going to act like a gate. You're going to light these 2. You're going to separate them like this. They're going to be a gate. And what you're going to do is when you write this down on paper, I'm giving up the approval of other people to be free. I'm giving up the fear of man to fear God, to follow God's will for my life. And what you're going to do, you're going to read out these giving up and going into something new. Goodbye, inadequacies. Hello, strength and peace. And then what you're going to do is you're going to walk through the candles. You're going to walk through the candles and then you're going to blow them out. Okay? Sounds silly, but what it does is it sets up this mental framework. It sort of becomes an archetype that you set a line in the sand. You entered through the gate into, you're making a declaration, a pact with yourself that from here on out, when I step through this gate that I set up, something in me is going to change. Something in me is falling off. It's dying. And I'm being reborn again. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're religious, you can do this. It's simply a declaration to yourself and to God that something's dying. Okay, so you step through, and what it does is it helps you remember. And so whenever you start catching yourself, your head looking around, seeing who's judging you, seeing what people think about you, remember, I stepped through that portal. I stepped through that gate before. I'm not going back. Something in me has died and something in me has changed. You always have that now, that story in your head of I went forward and there's no going back. I'm not looking back unless I plan on going there. All right? So partake in the ritual. It's very powerful. Hope you guys will do this, and I'll see you soon. Peace. So let's get started. First off, what we're going to do is we're going to light 2 candles. You're going to set them apart from each other just like this. Okay. Now what we're doing here is creating a line in the sand. We're creating a gate. We're going to walk through that gate. And if you want, you can set up a mirror. That way you can see yourself actually walking through that gate. Okay? Now what I have here, and I recommend you do, is you turn on some drum music, some drums in the background. We're going to do that right here. And then I'm going to read my declaration. Okay? Let's get started. The end of seeking approval and validation from other people is the beginning of true freedom. I willfully bring an end to my concerns with others' opinions of me, as I willfully begin to seek God's will for my life. With the end of the fear of people, the beginning of the fear of God now commences. The time of uncertainty and doubt has ended. The time of victory has now begun. Goodbye, inadequacies. Hello, strength and peace.